Oh, hello, warriors. Anthony Chansmith here from Simple Creative Marketing. Simple Creative Marketing. Wow. That's me on something. Okay, so let's get to today's episode. We are talking about how to stay consistent with content marketing. Okay, and this is a question that was raised to me by Erica Bates, who is a consultant with Subconscious Self, on my LinkedIn page on Simple Creative Marketing. If you're not already following me and my page on LinkedIn, please go do so. And Erica's question is, hey Anth, what's a good way to stay consistent with content marketing? So what I'm going to cover in first of all, 4 reasons to be consistent with content marketing. Then I'll look at 3 common blocks that keeps small businesses from being consistent. And then I'll walk you through 3 steps to getting consistent with your content marketing. There's a lot of C's in there, so I'm tripping up in all of this. So let's get to the first part of this. Okay, so we've done that. And now we're going to look at 4 reasons to be consistent with content marketing. Now, according to Forbes, the impact of consistency not only helps create a better customer experience, but it also helps build credibility, reputation, and brand trust. So credibility, reputation, and brand trust. So I'm going to break those down in a moment. And this is what we're going to talk about. So reason number 1, keeping that in mind, is relationships. All right. So, the questions here that you need to be thinking about are you staying top of mind for prospective customers and clients? Are you relevant and adding value and developing those relationships? Right now, content marketing can certainly help you do these things. Secondly, perception and awareness. Reason number 2, right? People and companies will research you and what you're doing. And as they're doing that, a question that they're asking is, how are you showing up? And this is a question that you should be asking yourself, right? Consistency is a good way to demonstrate that you're reliable, that you can stay true to your word, that you can put together a plan and stick to it, right? And so remember, we do business with people we like, know, and trust. And so, if you're not being consistent and you show up once a month or once this week, and then the next time we hear from you is maybe 3 weeks from now, and then the next time we hear from you is maybe 6 months from then, it's you can see the problem, right? So that's creates a perception and awareness about you and your brand. Number 3 reason to be consistent is credibility. Okay, and this is content marketing is a really great way to reveal your expertise and experience and do it on a regular basis. Okay, so if you're putting content out and your prospective buyers and even your current clients and your community can see that, right? Then they can see you sharing insights about what you know, teaching the things that you have experience to teach, and also sharing the results that you've been able to create for yourself and for your clients. And this is why I'm so big on case study marketing. And you're going to hear me talk a lot more about case study marketing in upcoming episodes, right? So credibility, reason number 3. Number 4 is the one that you're here for, right? It's opportunities, business opportunities. Right. So by being consistent with your content marketing, this can lead to new clients. It can lead to client retention, keeping existing clients. It can lead to new partnerships, opportunities, media appearances, and a whole lot more. Okay. So here are 4 real good reasons. Just to recap: number 1, relationships; 2, perception or awareness; number 3, credibility; and number 4, opportunities. Okay. Now, let's take a look at 3 common blocks that keep small businesses from being consistent. Number 1 is no clear strategy. All right. And so the impact of not having a clear strategy or content strategy is that you're usually unsure if the content you're producing will get you business results. All right. So you might decide to run some Facebook ads. You might decide to post some articles, do a podcast like what I'm doing, or maybe some Facebook Lives, LinkedIn Lives, YouTube, whatever it is, TikTok even, right? So whatever it is that's there, if you are not strategically creating content that leads, that attracts the right people, that moves them through different stages of a buyer journey, okay, and then leads them to the place where you want them to be, right, then that's going to be a major issue for you, and you're going to not want to be consistent, right? Number two common block for consistency is having no schedule, right, or a defined schedule, okay? And this is what typically happens is that you produce things ad hoc on the fly, you're spontaneous, and this might work for you, and because you're all over the place, and you're juggling multiple priorities, and things are going on with work, maybe family, maybe health, other things going on, but also just within the business itself. And this again might work for you, but it doesn't work for your audience. And an example I like to give here is, if you think about a TV show or a TV series, maybe on Netflix or on your free-to-air television channels. Like if you go back to whether it's Game of Thrones or Seinfeld or whatever it was, Friends back in the day, right? One thing that I always remember is being back in school, like primary school, and I would wake up and know and expect a certain cartoon would be on every morning, and then after school, 3 o'clock, I'd be running home because I knew, at 3:30 or whatever it was, Astro Boy would be on, and I could sort of, 100% with 100% certainty know that show is going to be on at that time every single day when I got home from school. And because I knew that created an anticipation. It created an excitement about coming home for that thing. And I remember I had a similar kind of experience with The X-Files when that was on TV many years ago now, but you get my point, right? So that comes down to the TV station or the TV channel having a defined schedule of content. So they're putting out the same show on the same days, the same time every week. And that allows the audience to plan for that to happen, and they're expecting it, right? So when you are not putting out a regular weekly newsletter or a monthly newsletter or a weekly podcast or whatever it is that you're doing, and you fluctuate too much, okay, that creates a real problem from the audience perspective. All right. And then it damages your reputation, your brand, or those other things that we talked about earlier. Number 3 common block is no system. Okay, when you don't have a system and you're just doing things off a whim, right, on the fly, right, this can actually add to your own mental stress, right, because you've got your mental load that you're juggling, and you've got all these ideas, and you've got things that you need to do, your to-do list or whatever, your Asana checklist of tasks, right? And you're trying to remember all the things, right? And not just what you need to do to create the content, all right? Because even creating a good, well planned article takes work. Like it literally takes me 1 to 2 hours of planning before I even start writing the piece or having one of my writers do that, right? So you want to make sure, even for when I do a podcast episodes, I need to plan this. It took me about 30 minutes just to plan this episode, right? So you got to keep this in mind, and what that allows you to do when you have a system. And when we talk about a system, we're talking about not only the system for planning, but also the system for execution, and that can include team members, outsourcing to other providers. It could include applications and tools, right? So if you don't have these 3 things, if you're in a situation where there's no clear strategy, there's no schedule and no system, this is why we get overwhelmed. This is why you get lost. It's like, oh my gosh, right? So I know you feel me. Okay, so how do we address all of these things? Well, let me just circle back to intent and purpose, right? So are you looking to generate leads and sales through content? Most likely, yes, if you're listening to this or watching me. Okay. So here's the thing: content marketing success starts with having successful content planning and understanding that pray and spray doesn't work. So a common problem or challenge that small businesses have is they're throwing things everywhere. You're right. One day they're throwing stuff on Instagram, and then they're doing LinkedIn, and they're doing Facebook ads and YouTube, and then email newsletter and all these other things. And they're wondering, why isn't this working? Right? There's no clear plan of attack. All right. And when you don't have a clear plan of attack, it's very hard to have a clear plan of measurement as well. Just keeping that in mind. So you really need to create content that captures the attention of your target buyer, that is of interest to them, that educates them, that creates a desire for your services. So this is important, right? So it's not about just telling good stories, but do the stories and the things that you're putting out that actually create desire for what you do and how you can support them, right? And then does it move them to act? Okay, so all of these are critical pieces of great content. Okay, and so here's the 3 steps to getting consistent with your content marketing, right? Firstly, you want to have a content strategy. Okay, so I run a 2-hour, sometimes 3-hour content strategy or content planning workshop, and I'm about to do one in December. So if you want some more information about that, just let me know. Type workshop in the comments if you're watching this live on Facebook Live. But this is something that definitely, it really helps to just sit down, allocate some time to work out what is your content strategy, right? Number 2 is you want to have a content schedule, just like what we talked about with the TV programming. You want to, make it clear, this is how often I plan to produce content and publish it. And this is how I'm going to promote it. On what days and times will I promote the content? All right. And that leads to number 3 is having a content system. So that's, defined process steps or SOPs on how you're producing specific types of content, right? SOPs, if you're not aware, is standard operating procedures, right? So having a documented process for here's how we do the Facebook Lives, here's how we do the podcast, here's how we do the blog posts and articles, and here's how we do the social media, right? All these things. And then along with that is who's going to do it, right? Whether it's you, you're going to outsource it to a VA, you're going to have someone else in your team, a marketing person that drives it, whatever it may be, right? You may just have that, and also in addition to that, you want to think about what tools are you going to utilize in that process. Okay, so content strategy, content schedule, content system, and they're 3 steps that you can take to get consistent with your content marketing. And then I'm going to give you a bonus here tomorrow. If you're watching this live right now, I am going to, my next episode, I'm going to reveal how to repurpose content and specifically how to turn one video or one Facebook Live into 18 pieces of content for social media. And this is a behind the scenes look at my content system, right? Or what I like to call the content engine. So if you want to learn more about this and tune in when it's happening, just head over to simplecreativemarketing.com/content system. Okay, and then you can definitely tune in and check that out. If you miss the time or date, whatever it may be, you will be able to catch a replay of it as well. Just go to simplecreativemarketing.com/content system. And now if you, just quick recap what we just covered just now. We talked about 3 reasons to be consistent with your content marketing, 3 common blocks to keep consistent. We actually talked about 4 reasons, so I didn't change the slide, but that's 4 reasons to be consistent. Number 3, secondly, we talked about 3 common blocks to keeping consistent. And then finally, we talked about 3 steps to getting consistent with your content marketing. So I hope this has been really valuable to you. And if you do have a question about content marketing, case study marketing, or building an authentic brand, I'd love for you to submit your question to me using audio, and I just might feature your voice on my podcast. Just head over to AuthenticInfluence.co/ask. Again, that's AuthenticInfluence.co/ask. So thank you so much for joining me today. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, share this out if you found it valuable, and if you've got really specific tips or something that you think, oh, this is really useful, I'd love for you to leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, whatever podcast app you're listening to, if you're hearing this on a podcast. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.